So we were talking about Chipotle, which of course is very evil. But before you go, I got to ask you about No Evil Foods. That, like, they're not evil, right? It says so in the name.
Yeah, we just published, so the thing you're showing on screen, we published that today. I wrote a piece almost exactly a year ago. So I guess I'll first introduce what this company is, actually. So No Evil Foods is a vegan food company. And I don't believe I've ever had their food, so I didn't realize, but they're quite a big company, right? Like, you can find their products in over 5,000 stores, including Walmart. They're backed by a VC fund. And so they're not, some sort of small little worker co-op or something. And in fact, their owners busted their workers union about a year ago, just over a year. They held a vote to organize with the UFCW. And the vote was something like 40 something against versus 16 in favor. So the workers voted against it. But as is so often the case in the United States, that was the product of a very serious anti-union campaign. And, what's particularly sort of outrageous here is that, as you see in this photo, the company brands itself as a left-wing company, right? They're vegan, but also they sort of have a Zapatista theme. They have, products like Comrade Cluck. They sort of literally are a socialist-themed company. And so, when they busted their workers' union, it was, rightfully outrageous. So I wrote about it then. And this follow-up is that, the story did not end there with the workers voting out the union, right? And sort of happily going off into the night, sort of begrudgingly, like every other worker who doesn't have a union. Actually, some of the key organizers were fired. Other people left because they were kind of outraged. And those two of the two workers who say they were retaliated against and fired for organizing, they actually filed a complaint with the NLRB. The NLRB found the complaint had merit, and ultimately the company settled with them, paying them each about $20,000, and continued to have this ongoing war in sort of the media and social media with these workers. So they, will fight over social media. They'll accuse them of encouraging harassment. They sort of are leaning on the fact that they didn't plead guilty. They settled. So technically, they weren't found to have done anything wrong. But I mean, the things just go on. And so this article is just following up with some of these workers about what's happened since. And, I even talked to workers who I hadn't spoken to a year ago who had quit last month because they said, they just can't deal with the sort of situation in the production plant at this point. There's firings constantly. There's the reorganization of production and machines that is, stressing workers and speeding up. And of course, it should be noted that they did not respond to me asking for a comment on any of these allegations. So workers say these things. They haven't confirmed or refuted them. But given that the NLRB found that these complaints had merit last time, I think it's safe to say that that No Evil is, in fact, at least a little bit evil. So that's the latest. We'll see if there will be a follow-up if I hear anything from them. But for now, yeah, I mean, it's very insulting. But I think the basic takeaway here is, I don't go in much for culture war stuff because I think it's a waste of time,
Right.
and generally just like fun for the person doing it. Doesn't do anything politically. But I think this is a good example of why, you don't really need to say much beyond, whatever a boss says or a company sort of presents itself as. That's just marketing. And you should always assume that it's just marketing. And if you, assume that and don't take it seriously as an employee, then you'll never go wrong.
Right.
And so I think this is a very extreme case that a lot of people have fun joking about. Look at these socialists who actually were, exploiting their workers. But at the end of the day, a boss is a boss. And so, yeah, this is just a pretty ridiculous example of that, of marketing kind of taken to the extreme of bullshit.
Wow. All right. Thank you so much, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This has been a free public preview of a patron-exclusive episode of Give Them an Argument. To get the rest of this episode and every other patron-exclusive episode, go to patreon.com/Ben Burgis.